up, Wastelanders? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining me once again for another conversion video. Now, I get asked a lot, how do you do so many cars? How do you post so much? What do you do with all these things? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over some of the tips and tricks that I have for doing cars kind of en masse, but still making them look just totally awesome. Start off with, we're going to be doing just a series of Dodge vehicles today. We're going to be doing a 68 Dodge Dart, 71 Dodge Charger, and a 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. I always do these things in series of 3 or 4 just because I don't like waiting for things to dry, waiting for glue to dry, waiting for paint to dry, any of that stuff. So I do one, go on to the next, do one, go to the next. So that's what we're going to do with all these. We're going to do all 3 of these at once. We're going to do them in different kind of styles, different sponsors, but doing it in a way that we can get them all done at the same time, or at least in a row, and make it go really cool, really quick, make it look awesome. So first things first, we got to get these babies apart, get them into the stripper. Alright, now that they're all taken apart and tossed in the stripper, let you know what kind of stripper I use. I use Citrus Strip. I really like it. I've been using it for the past couple years. It works really, really well. I've only found maybe 1 or 2 hardcore, thickly painted vehicles that I've had to leave in longer. For the Citrus Strip, I like to leave them in overnight. I think that works best. I've done it for as few as 2 to 3 hours, but there's still a little bit on there you have to kind of scratch at to get off. So overnight works the best. As it says, there's no harsh fumes. It smells kind of orangey. Don't taste it. I doubt it tastes kind of orangey. But it works really, really well. And after you leave it overnight, take it out, run it over some warm water. Not like scalding hot, but not cold. Cold, it tends to take a little bit longer to get all the goo off, all the gel off. Run it over some warm water. You'll be good to go and ready to prime. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave these babies overnight, and then we're going to rinse them off, prime them up, and they'll be good to go for the next step. So let's let them take a rest. Alright, so we're all stripped up, cleaned off, and everything else. Next, we're going to prime them up. I like to use the Citadel Gray Sear to prime them. Before we get on to any other colors, we're going to do some really quick colors. We're going to do rattle canning it, because like I said, this is going to be tips and tricks to do cars really quickly, but also make them really, really cool. So first, we can get them all primed up, and then we'll move on to some different ideas on how we are going to detail them and everything else. But first, it's prime time. Alright, so we're all primed up and ready to go. So keeping in the spirit of doing things quick and efficient, we're just going to rattle can these. Like I said, we're going to do one in the Macraga Blue, one in the Mephiston Red, and the other one we're going to do on a white Scar, because I want to do some striping on those. So I'm going to paint over it again after I do the stripes. So yeah, let's get these things all painted up, and then we'll move on to the next step. Let's do it! Alright, we're all painted up now. Got the red, white, and blue going on. A little patriotic stuff. Red, white, blue. Alright, there we go. For the white one, like I said, I'm going to tape this one off because I wanted to have white stripes, and then I'm going to paint it a different color. When I'm taping it off, I'm going to use 2 different thickness tape to do it. I'm going to get just a couple lines going down, off-centered. The red one and the blue one, I'm just going to put back together, and then we'll start detailing them out. I've got some cool roof top pieces to go on the red one, and probably do some decals on this one. And then the blue one, I'm just going to kind of grunge up, probably give it a different colored door and trunk and stuff, make it look like it's all pieced back together. But first off, let's get this taped up, and then we'll get it repainted, get these ones back together. So let's do it. Alright, we're all put together and everything else, and as you can see, I've picked out some wheels and weapons and armor, and got the decals and stuff all picked out. Before we get all this stuff together, obviously we have to paint all the wheels and weapons and rams and everything else. We're going to do some weathering. Got the agrax going on. Before you even ask, yes, I go through a lot of agrax when I do my builds and stuff. It's really kind of my go-to for getting the initial grime on there. So let's agrax these things up. While those dry, we'll paint up all the wheels and weapons and stuff. Then we'll get the decals and everything on, get the wheels and weapons and everything on, get them all back together and start doing a little more weathering, and then these things will be good to go. But yeah, first, let's start the grime process. Alright, so all the wheels and weapons and everything are ready to go. It's all grimed up. Well, they are all grimed up. So let's start getting things put together, and then we'll do some chipping and everything else. I'm waiting for to get the decals on, to do the chipping on the red one, and the big roof spikes and everything, just because they were so hard to paint. I want to get them on there first, and then I'll paint them. But first, let's start getting the wheels and the weapons and stuff on there, and then we'll see where we're at, and we'll go from there. But yeah, these are looking good. Alright, so we're all back together with the pieces and parts and everything else. Just got to do a little bit more on these two. White stripes is kind of done. We just got to do some chipping and some additional weathering and rust on that one, and it'll be good to go. On the kind of piece together one, I put some armor on there in the back, a couple on the front, and then weather the armor pieces with some agrax, and then we'll start doing chipping on that one. For Big Red here, we're going to get the decals going on. And then I have these spiked things that are going to go on top. These are coming from Michael Crossman. I just got these from Creepy Hero Studios. These are just awesome. They're going to fit just perfectly on there. And so I'll get those on there, and then I'll paint them and dry brush them in silver and everything before we start getting this guy all rusted up and weathered. And yeah, then this thing, all of them, good to go for the Wasteland. So let's get the armor on, decals on. Let's do it. Alright, so we're all put back together. Off with the wheels and weapons and ram armor and stuff, everything on there, looking very cool. Liking how patches is coming together with this one. Armor works out really well. The lead tape works out really well in a pinch to do stuff a little bit faster, plus it molds on there. Just makes it look really, really cool. I'm really loving these spiked headpiece things from Creepy Hero Studios. They're just awesome. They look like razor blades, just fantastic. Next, we're going to go through and do some chipping with the MIG chipping solution before we get the rust going on. The A and the MIG rust dry brush stuff. And then we'll be good to go and get these things ready to pump out to the Wasteland. So let's get them chipped up. And there we have it. Trifecta of Dodge vehicles. Starting off with this 68 Dodge Dart patches. Love how all the armor and everything, just the piecemeal stuff really made it all come together, especially with the different colored side panel and door and trunk and everything. But yeah, just looks outstanding. Moving on to the 1971 Dodge Charger, white stripes. The stripe turned out really, really well. Rattle canning the white first and letting it dry like for a while. Before taping it and then painting the blue, gray blue from Monument Hobbies, just really, really turned out well. Then finally moving on to the 2018 Dodge Charger SRT Demon. The spikes on this thing they're just awesome. The mesh on the windows make things go really fast. All told, all three of these vehicles only took me maybe about an hour and a half to put together, aside from like waiting for paint dry and glue dry, everything else. So having things picked out beforehand and kind of knowing what you're doing can make things go a lot faster. If you're doing a team build where all of them are going to be the same color, the same kind of theme, can make it even go faster than that. So yeah, all these vehicles, short amount of time, just looking awesome. If you enjoyed this video, you learned something, do me a favor and hit that like button. My goal is to do weekly videos, whether they're vehicle builds, terrain builds, whatever. So if that's for you, please hit the sub button below and ring the bell to get notified when new content drops. I do sell all my builds pretty inexpensively on my Etsy page, so if you want to pick anything up, see what else I've created, you can even request a custom build. Until next time, keep your foot on the gas and your finger on the trigger. Gaslands NorCal, signing out.
Ha 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 ha!